Doctors are supposed to be bound by the Hippocratic Oath. First, do no harm. But that time-tested ethos went out the window when transgender radicalism infected hospitals and medical universities. And now the Trump administration, it's making a major move to hold them accountable for what they're doing in the name of gender-affirming care. The DOJ announced it's backing that Victims of Chemical or Surgical Mutilation Act, which will allow patients to sue up to 25 years after their 18th birthday or 4 years after they started incurring costs for their detransition.
I was severely depressed, and it just kept getting more severe as I got older.
I started to have a really disturbing sense that, like, a part of my body was missing, almost a ghost limb feeling.
Dealing with some of the, more underlying issues in depth would have definitely been a better place to start.
Tonight, I'm joined by someone who knows this issue better than anyone out there, detransitioner Chloe Cole. Chloe, it's great to see you again. Just for people who don't know your story, you started puberty blockers at 13, a double mastectomy at 15, then you detransitioned a few years later. So how significant is this Trump administration move to back this legislation?
I think that this bill is incredibly important because, as we know, every child has a right to evidence-based healthcare and to grow up fully healthy with their body fully intact, and that right has been violated for far too long. There are thousands of children and young people in our country alone who have already been harmed by doctors mutilating and chemically castrating them, and yet there's so little of a window for opportunity for them to seek damages for what has happened to them. This bill is going to create a new opportunity for them to do so.
Well, when you look at the opposition to what the president is trying to do for kids who've been subjected to this, it's pretty strong. Letitia James, of course, of New York, AG, said that this is cruel and targeted harassment. It's a campaign against providers who offer lawful, life-saving care to children. This administration, she says, is ruthlessly targeting young people who already face immense barriers just to be seen and heard. Your reaction to Letitia James's claim that the Trump administration's moves against this type of surgery for minors on the federal level is cruel and targeted harassment?
In fact, I would argue that the Trump administration is the first American administration to actually advocate for the health and safety of transgender minors, because what these treatments actually do, what this course of treatment actually does, is cause permanent harm to them developmentally.
Did you
they're advocating for little more than their right to grow up and be treated as any other child in healthcare.
Were you surprised about the so-called alleged manifesto of that killer in Minnesota? And he had rage about a lot of things. Obviously, it's a horrific situation. But specifically talking about the propaganda that he was subjected to and wishing he hadn't, it seems like at least, gone down that road. Did that surprise you?
Not at all. I mean, I think it speaks to, a lot of the manifesto speaks to common feelings that actually a lot of the transgender community has. Obviously, not every transgender person is a violent or bad person, but many of them are struggling with trauma and internal turmoil that is not being properly addressed by doctors. Rather than being given the care that they deserve, being led through these feelings, being guided into adulthood, and being told the truth about the way that they were born, the way that God beautifully made them, many doctors are instead leading them further down this dark path of destruction for their mind and their body.
A lot of these schools, especially out in liberal states, they're not really getting the memo on this. They're just defiant. And so Washington state parents, Chloe, outraged when they discovered that their kindergartners were taught a, quote, gender jamboree lesson. And I guess the objective, kids can identify their own gender and name at least 3 gender identities in it. They're also being told some people are boys, girls, some people are both, some people are neither. So this is starting at a very young age, this propaganda.
it leads children down a very dark path. I don't think that this is good for anybody, but especially for kids. The younger that you go with this, the more confusing it gets. And the moment that you affirm them, you are sending them down a lifetime of physical and emotional and spiritual pain. And children deserve another option. They deserve to know that there is another way out of this confusion.
Chloe, you have been incredibly courageous, and you've shared the most intimate details of your struggle and what was done to you. And I just thank you again for sharing your story tonight. Thanks so much.